There was a country. I think it's Biafra. I promise you all that I am who I say that I am. And at this point, I will reinstate my challenge. First and foremost, to the secret societies, especially the martial arts secret societies, and to the gang stalkers. It ends on the 20th, and I have partially recovered. I've pointed out in the past that I have never lost a fair sparring match, fair and square, and I told you the truth. To be honest, I cannot truly count how many matches I have won, so I may have been mistaken about it being over 100, but in a sense, it is over 100. I have been persecuted all my life by eugenicists because both of my parents are doctors, and I am mixed Igbo, Biafran, which is basically Nigerian, and white. When I first learned to spar, there was a beautiful female at UAMA, the daughter of the master, the teacher, and there was the teacher taking Rahilio's side. You do the wordplay and the sound of it, Ra, the god Ra, Helio, heliocentric, the priestess of On. It goes back to On and Joseph in the 9, the Ennead, right? 3 plus 6 is 9, 7 plus 2 is 9, right? The no concept of zero, the revolutions, the circle, 360, 720, 1080, and so on. The way I've been treated in life led me to be sexually immoral in different ways and to do goofy stuff as a teenager. Stupid stuff that was embarrassing, that was related to showing your ass, so to speak. I'm not homosexual, nor have I ever been, but I have done things that are despicable. I have achieved a state of mind state that was sinful. I have hung out with gang members and other sexually immoral people, and I have turned a blind eye to their sexual immorality in order to kind of fit in and obtain weed. I never was there when somebody was getting raped or something like that, but I've hung out with people that certainly are those types of people. This is the culture we have. It is dishonorable. It is despicable. I went to UAMA and Wing Lam and other martial arts teachers I've had. United Academy of Martial Arts. Wing Lam, you do the wordplay, you remove the G, the silent G of masonry, and you replace it with an O. You get one lamb, like Obi-Wan, right? One as in Obi-Wan, victory, and one lamb. One of the symbols of the Illuminati is the peace sign, which is really a victory sign. They have declared victory on behalf of the loser to cover up their ancestors' mistakes. When you think about colony, think about colon cancer, colon E, okay? Think about how a werewolf, wearing the wolf, the clothes, the Romans, the wolves are multiple attackers versus a single attacker, awareness. He has to be aware when taking on multiple opponents. This is why UFC fighting has nothing to do with martial arts or the martial arts spirit, because it is the spirit of being aware and using transferable skills, including spiritual and mental awareness, to take on multiple opponents and moving at God's speed, so to speak, or as close to it as you can. God is like a martial artist who is aware of many opponents or many people at the same time and their every single move. Think deeply about what I mean by that. When you talk about ceremonial ritual, ceremonial burial, okay, rituals, occult rituals, right? The land and the location is key. Osiris was Kenti Amen to you. He was the foremost of the Westerners, okay? Amen to you, okay? Kenti Amen to you. You can extract the Ken and the Amen from the word. Ikenga knife, Nigeria. Niger means black. Kemet was referred to as the black land. Ptah, the house of Ptah, right? Okay. So that's another way that Egypt was referred to. Lagos, Nigeria. The logos. I've gone over this. See the 5 or 6 videos before this, which are done in a similar way without seeing me on the camera. They will probably use my voice and my image to lie in the future. You must use sacred morality and truth to extract the truth. This may very well be my last video, and these videos may very well not stay up for very long. These people like to give away what they've done after the fact so that secret societies can say, oh, that's how you snake those people, right? They snake people in the past, just like in MK Ultra, it comes out later. So 2010 and 2011, Okay, in 2010, I started going back to martial arts. In 2011, that's when the gang stalking pretty much officially began, if it hadn't already began at University of Phoenix. I go to the psych ward. Now, to understand that I'm completely sane and I have impeccable manners and careful perception when I am not provoked ridiculously and drugged, you must understand the Martha Mitchell effect, the history of Ionia State Hospital, Stanford psychologist that went and proved that psychiatry was a fraud when he did his experiment. I forgot his name. He basically sent patients into the psych wards to claim that they had schizophrenia. They will use their massive budget to falsify and fabricate evidence, and to create, use half-truths to create a certain narrative that they will run with for quite some time. And that is what I believe they're doing in Egypt. Look at the Sphinx. He certainly was an African with a Negroid nose. Show me a white person with a Negroid nose anywhere. You just don't see it. Okay, psychiatry, psychology, the religious occult have, these are occultists. It's not fair to blame all religion. Religion is based on martial arts, either to fabricate points of view using Apollo, right? For example, Apollo is a half-truth at best of Haru or Horus. The idea that we use science and poetry, well, of course they use some kind of basic science to ascertain the movements of the sun and to have some kind of astronomy and astrology-based culture. But martial arts were the key part of it. The spirit was the main thing that they were trying to extract from the sky. They're trying to extract and use in poetry. For the same reason that somebody who's a fat idiot, per se, trying to do a martial art reenactment is not as effective. You need the top martial artist in the spirit of his ancestors. The ideal martial arts is a black African Igbo Nigerian, because Igbos are the greatest warriors from what I gather. Whether you look at African Americans boxing and stuff, you got to think outside the box. You ultimately land at the Igbos, you land at Nigeria, and this is where most of the slaves came from. That's why they were called niggers and not angels or something, because Angola and Nigeria and God's plan in reverse. Okay, so women in Santa Cruz shun me ridiculously, and Santa Cruz should be seen as a traitor land, the controlled opposition. They like to wear spandex or whatever it is to show their butt at Westcliff and downtown and the boardwalk, and they use their pussy power and sexually frustrate men, and this is what causes rape, and ultimately they use UC Santa Cruz, UC Berkeley, UCSF, and San Diego, and all these schools, to have secret societies, sororities, Greek societies, goes back to colon and homosexuality and pederastry, to indoctrinate women and to lead them astray and to become lesbians and men haters and dykes. And they're using chemicals to basically reduce my sperm count. It makes my, I'm going to be frank here, brutal. It makes my testicles burn. It makes my stomach burn, my balls, my throat and my teeth burn. My gums burn. My teeth seem to be weakened. And they have many ways to give their races the upper hand. So remember, it goes back to 2010, then 2011. In 2012, I did my challenge in May 4th, and that's when I went to the psych ward, May, June, July. 3 months later, I go to the psych ward, and I don't get released till September, the month of my birthday. The nines also line up for whatever reason. You have to see that think about the body as a cup. Think about the Raiders of the Lost Ark or something. There's a lot of this stuff in popular culture, including Hollywood movies. Think about which cup was the ark, right? Leopold, the spirit is not just the blood. The blood captures the spirit quite often, but perhaps not necessarily. I haven't gotten that far yet. But think of the body as a cup that takes on the spirit. Blessed is he who is poured in spirit, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So you pour the spirit from father to son, okay? And that's why you also get the inheritance. You inherit not only the land, but the spirit of the land, going back to ceremonial burials and rituals and how to do them right and how to do them wrong. Okay, my eyes are very, very spotlight because I put the book on the video. I have to wrap this up. My eyes I'm still blinded, and I've reinstated my challenge symbolically. If you want to accept my challenge, show up at the park on Morgan Hill on Edmondson by the community center. At noon on the 20th, the last day of my challenge. Wear red and approach me, and I'll have sparring gear for both of us. We will finish this once and for all. If I don't bring the sparring gear, we'll slap box. We'll have some way of doing it. We may even do full contact, but light contact. Okay, so so going on to 2013 December 20th. Remember, they're taking me to the psych ward for petty things, for yelling in my room after they provoke me. How many of you think it's fair to take someone to the psych ward for yelling things in the room? We all get frustrated and yell about things. And as you're being provoked and cheated out of your rightful place and all the horrible things they've done to me, including sexually violate me in more than one way, using drugs to make me pass out and stuff like that, you know, you can imagine it causes you to yell about who you want to kill, and then they take me to the psych ward for it, and I have to play stupid and so on. So think about the wings, the left and the right wing of the dragon, the eagle, the falcon, the falcon versus the hawk, Nechin, the city of the hawks. Okay, in the Bible it talks about Judah strikes them down by striking down their neck. This is a precision strike, going back to precision strikes, my argument in the first place. Speed, precision strikes, dexterity, agility, agility, okay, agile, okay, defense, form in the form of the spirit and not the flesh. If you focus on the form of the flesh and you have an ineffective technique, you're a presentation demonstration used to demonize those who are rightfully the best. Okay, so let me just wrap it up there and say, yes, I'm trying to correct everything I've ever done wrong. There was a time when I was trying to get people to understand that I'm a good man, and I put extras on it by saying that I memorized everything in the Bible. That is not true, okay? I've lied a handful of times in my videos. I never lied about being the top martial artist. I swear on everything, on ancestors. I honestly am the top martial artist, and it is the spirit that gets me there. They're using drugs to make me doubt myself, to cast doubt on me, and to cast me out of heaven, cast me out of my family, okay? The Igbos used to cast people out into the forbidden forest for doing something taboo, whereas the Romans and other cultures used to reward people for doing things that have to do with greed and treachery. Their very leaders were selected by treachery, by killing their own family members. The Senate was a group of fucking knuckleheads that would try to snake the people who were the heirs, the heir to the throne, the heir, you know, the bunny rabbit, okay? This is their culture. So over, you know, generations, they've cultivated temples, so to speak, in more than one way, of people who live by greed, deception, treachery, and deceit. And sorcery, the source of E versus the source of Ra, which is the sun setting in the, you know, in the west, and you go to the southwest because it's upper versus lower Egypt, and he is the foremost of the westerners. And even if they're referring to southwestern Egypt, which perhaps they are, you have to go through Chad to Nigeria. If you are being chased by people attacking from the north and the east, or you are wary of these groups of people, the Persians, the Arabs, the French, you know, the English, the Assyrians, the Babylonians, and on and on and on, right? Of course you would go to the southwest and you wouldn't settle right there in Chad. And of course the Nubians were on bad terms with the Egyptians. They fought many battles. So if you're fleeing to Nubia, you're probably going to be mistreated. So you're probably going to flee through Chad to Nigeria and to the Cross River, right? You spin the X, the Sphinx. Remove the H, which is the symbol for the fence. You spin the X, you get a cross. The Cross River, the Niger Delta, and the Nile Delta. So my argument is sound, and no matter how much science they use, the spirit vindicates me, and I am the top martial artist. If you do not like it, you have one chance. If you fabricate the evidence, use someone who looks like me in your video or something to pretend that I'm wrong, you have not won anything but the greatest disgrace. We live in a dark time, 2019, from 1619 when the slaves first got here. That's 400 years. This is a chance to free the slaves. Anyone who interferes is certainly cursed, but I am not God. It is not my place to judge, but my place to warn based on my divine insight in the spirit of my ancestors. So think about the middle belt. I'm the middle child. I'm not as aggressive as my older brother. I'm not a pacifist like my little brother. I have the martial arts spirit of ancestors, and I have conquered them both in sparring. And I am God's chosen. My dad is a brain surgeon. It takes steadiness of hands and timing and penetration to use brain surgery, to do brain surgery without technology as a 6'4", 6'5" African who weighs, you know, over 250 pounds. Think about how steady his hands have to be. That shows cultivating the strength and the agility, dexterity and the timing and the steadiness of hands, the precision. Okay, and I'm thin. You know, you've seen my body. They're trying to make me fat and drugging me covertly and throwing me off, making me clumsy versus steady hand. If you're clumsy, you can use brute force attacks. Say everyone is wearing armor, right? If I'm a clumsy fuck, I don't have to think like a martial artist. I can just smash you. And then their blows are slowed down as well as they swing their broadsword, their axe or their hammer, and their warhammer. And I just smash him. That is not martial arts. That's ogre brute force. You're a brute. You're an uncivilized